Oh, welcome my friends. So we're going to wax up this bow pretty good here. Lots of wax on the C-house. And while I do that, we're going to discuss a couple of things. One thing is the ghost arrow. You have to be able to see through your arrow. I call it the ghost arrow because you can see through it just like a ghost. Now, if you hold up your finger and close your weak eye, you will see that you cannot see through your finger. I cannot see past it. But if I open both eyes, I can see right through it. I'm looking right at the center of a tree, actually. Okay? We need to use both eyes to see through the arrow. Horace Ford said, what's the point in using one eye when if you're elevating high, you can't see through your hand? So both eyes will allow you to see through the arrow, okay? And when we're looking through the arrow, what we're really doing is looking at our target. We can tell when it's exactly on if we've got both eyes open and we can see through the arrow. Okay, so it's just like Howard Hill said, point your finger, look at the target, and it's just like pointing your finger. Well, also Horace said that you can't see through your hand. So I'm saying let's use the ghost arrow. If it's up and we can see through it, we can aim it. Also, if it's beneath us in our periphery vision, it's still invisible. You'll still get that thing because you're staring at that target, okay? So that's a very important thing to realize, that by using both eyes, we can see through the target. Another thing, just to refresh you, is that we're not drawing to the ear today. We're drawing to the magic line, which is a spot an equal distance from the target on our face. For me, it's right here on my jaw, just a space about where my lower back tooth is. But I'm not opening my mouth, I'm not touching my teeth, I'm not trying to touch the tooth. Matter of fact, I don't want to touch anything. I'm just right beside it. If you start to draw to your face, you're going to start shooting crooked. Your arms have to be fully stretched out and relaxed, and you are able to see along that arrow without touching. You see, we want the pressure to go from the target to the elbow. We do not want the pressure going sideways. We want it going straight at the target, and that's why we do that. Anyhow, we're kind of waxed up, we're about ready to go, so let's go shoot and have some fun. Okay. Okay, boys. To shoot straight, you have to be able to relax, not touch your anchor. You have to be able to see through the arrow. Don't touch your anchor. If you touch your anchor, you're going to twist that power line. It's a little better. Okay, so there's 2 in the heart. Don't touch. Don't touch. Just let your arms float. You know, and if you do that, you start to hit the target once in a while. So we're just getting started, just getting warmed up. But listen, we do not want to do sideways movements. That's called touching your anchor. We just want that pressure to go from the bow hand to the elbow without touching, and it's going to be close, close. I want you to touch without touching. That's how close. touch without touching. You'll get that eye on there. If you start touching, you're going to be going off. Anyhow, when you relax a little bit, you draw to the magic line and you don't touch. You can see that one shot was a little bit high there, but the others are just bop, bop, bop. That's what you want to do. Relax. Don't touch nothing. It's a mistake. Okay guys, so now we have a caribou. They've set it up at 28 yards. We don't use any string alignment or anything like that. It's only for people that have center shot bows and hold the bow vertical. We don't do that. Not a great shot. It'll still bleed out in a few minutes. That was a good shot. And he'll still bleed out in a few minutes. And that was kind of sweet. Pretty close together. Yeah, you know, we're not using string alignment or anything like that. We're simply using our 45-degree trough to sit our rocket in. There's a bunch of things, you know, you really need to have the pressure going forward, have it hanging from your elbow, not sideways. Touching an anchor is sideways. This is not sideways. So you want to get close to wherever that magic spot is, but not touching it. Let it float. Let those arms float. If they're floating, they're going to float right onto that target, you know. So that's what I would say. Use the ghost arrow. Look right through the arrow so that you can see the target. And then you'll pop them. Okay? Be back in a minute. Okay guys, so over here they set up a lynx at 20 yards. Moonin never stops complaining. No gap, no point of aim. Okay? It's really important to be able to see through your arrow. Listen, take your finger, put it in front of your dominant eye, and close your weak eye. You cannot see through your finger, but if you open your eye, you can see through it. Now I can see the camera, now I can't, now I can. Matter of fact, I can tell that the camera is on the right side or it's on the left side or it's exactly in the center. If I want to hit that camera, I'm going to put it right in the center of my arrow. It's very important to shoot with both eyes. if you're ever elevating so that you can't see through your hand. So yes, closing one eye will make the arrow look perfectly straight and perfectly solid, but you line up better with both eyes. Okay, so that's an important thing. Another thing that Howard Hill used to talk about was looking at the target and just holding your finger and judging when it's pointing at the target. And that's all he said he did. He looked at the target and he judged where his finger was pointing. And he did that a million times. And after a while, he caught on to it. But I'm saying, look right through the arrow and you can line up the target perfectly. Okay? And when you do that kind of stuff, you'll get your hits. Okay? Okay. We'll be back in a minute. Okay, guys, so you do meet the strangest things out in the woods. It's got antlers like a moose. Yeah, it's kind of like antlers like a moose, spots like a fawn, and about the size of a female deer. Call it what you want. A little bit hard to tell where the arrows are because of the little dots. They're white also. But if I could do that 3 more times, I'll be okay. Gotta let that right arm relax. Let it fall in behind. Okay, so you've got to allow this arm to be relaxed. I keep emphasizing this so much, you know. Look right through the arrow, okay? Put your finger up, close your eye, you can't see it, you know, you can't see through it, open your eye, you can tell exactly where it's pointing. So even though your arrow is down lower, you're concentrating on that target so much that you can see through it and you can tell where the grass or the branches or whatever it is right through it. So that's a thing that you got to do. And again, I keep emphasizing this line that's the same distance. Okay, so we're not going for our power draw back by our ear, and we're not short drawing ahead of it. We're trying to find this magic line that runs parallel to the target, same distance as the eye. And that's where I touch, or don't touch. Again, I'll keep emphasizing this too. Don't touch, but touch. Have it so close that you can sort of feel it. But you're not touching. None of this sideways movement. It's not good for you. Twist your elbow. Okay? Anyhow, when you do that, you find these magic creatures out in the woods. Pick a dot. There's an arrow in there. Okay, be back in a minute. Okay guys, then we got a deer down here at 30 yards. Let's shoot these with the feather against the bow, just for a laugh. Float those arms. Put the feather against the bow. Okay? Anyhow, let those arms float. I'll say it over and over again. The pressure has to be going from the bow hand to the elbow. It's got nothing to do with this pulling on the string. That's just got to be part of it, you know? And when you do that kind of stuff, and you'll get your hits, okay? Okay guys, so now they've got a red fox down here at 19 yards. At this distance, it's just, you know, eyeball it. Line it up from your magic spot. Okay, so anyhow, this little spot along here that's parallel distance from the target to your eye, right along here. It's the focal point at which you can see the arrow best. Of course, we can always draw back here for full power, or you can let go up here if you want. But this spot I have found to be the magic spot. And if you can practice until you find that spot, it'll be a big help to you. It shortens your draw, it's a little easier to draw, and it's fairly accurate. And here we popped them, you know. Okay, back in a minute. Okay guys, got this elk down here at 38 yards. The white arrows are starting to come into their own. You've got to be able to see through this arrow at this distance. At this distance, the arrow covers the target. At farther distances, you have to be able to see through the arrow. The arrow is a ghost arrow. You can see through it just like a ghost. Okay, so that's what you've got to do. You've got to look at the target, and again, the target is hidden by the arrow at that distance. If I close my eye, I can't see it. If I have my eyes open, I can. So once again, we're emphasizing that we want to look through the arrow. And when we do it at a target, you know, like 38 yards, we'll get our hits. Okay? The ghost arrow. Look through it. Okay, guys, so they've set us up with another 19-yard fox. Kind of foggy and hazy. Don't look at your arrow. Just look at your arrow. Don't touch. Just touch. What am I talking about? That's what I'm talking about. How can you put it into words? You know? So, pressure forward, pressure back from the elbow, none of this kind of stuff. Cant the bow at 45. Keep the arrow on the center line. Make sure your eyes are open so that you can see through that arrow. Relax that arm so that the pressure in the bow lets it fall in place. And I'll tell you, it doesn't happen until you get back to about here. About here, the bow takes over. Out here, you're just going to screw up. Get it back about here and relax, and the bow will take care of you. Okay? And when you do that kind of stuff, you'll get your hits. Okay? Okay, have fun. I'll talk to you later. Bye now.